I call the Planning Commission meeting for March 20th, 2025 to order, and we'll begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jackie, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Rossetti?
Absent. Excused.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Here.
Mr. Varga?
Here.
Mr. Crocker?
Here.
Mr. Haddon?
Here.
Mr. Perkovich?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from our regular meeting, February 27th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Abstain.
Mr. Cook?
Yes, on tonight's agenda, we have 3 public hearings, and we will follow this format. First, the applicant will have the opportunity to explain what they would like to do at a particular location. Second, anyone wishing to speak in favor of this proposal will be given the opportunity. Finally, anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be afforded the time to do so, or some people may just have questions, and we'll try to get those answers. And with that, we have a conditional use permit to allow limited retail activities at 8790 Munson Road. Is that applicant here? Please come up, give us your name and address, and tell us a little bit about what you'd like to do. Come on up here. And please spell your name, please.
Hi, I'm Joe Polakowski. That's Joe. Polakowski is Polakowski. I'm here on behalf of Artemis Awards and Apparel. We currently operate 2 locations, one in Highland Heights, Ohio, and one on Menor Avenue at 7269, near yours truly. Our goal is to move from that Menor location to 8790 Munson Road. We're in the process of attempting to purchase that property. In doing so, we'll move our light manufacturing of awards and apparel products into that location and have a piece of that be related and dedicated to our retail space lobby. A small portion, as shown in that floor mat, will be dedicated to doing so. In those interactions, people from the community will come in, browse our products, finalize purchases, and ultimately, make the transaction that way. They will return at a various date to pick up those products. Most of our transactions are done over email or phone or website, very few of which are actually with the retail lobby, hence the small portion and the revenue clause that we've discussed, where that accounts for less than 15% of our gross sales. At this point, that's the bulk of our project. Happy to answer any questions around that.
Okay, just hang on one second. Is there anybody wishing to speak for this proposal? Anybody wishing to speak against this proposal? This public hearing is closed. Kathy, anything from the administration?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify for the record, I believe he meant to say the existing is one on Center Street. It's across from yours truly, if you've ever been into the facility. The showroom, from what the application showed, is going to reflect or mimic pretty much what's there. So it doesn't generate foot traffic like a normal retail location, so we actually think this is ideal. We're happy with it.
Thank you. Anything from the commission members? None. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with the 5 conditions.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Formal rezoning of 1.34 acres from B2 General Business to PID Planned Infill Development Overlay District at 8693, 8683, 8671, 8677, and 8679 Menor Avenue. I see those applicants are here. Please give us your name and address. Tell us a little bit about what you want to do.
Sure. My name is Allison Sikora, Sikora. Address is 9260 Kathleen Drive in Menor. And I would like to rezone the area with, as you mentioned, all those parcels so that I can build a multi-use, multi-family 4-story building with 45 apartments. On the first floor will be restaurant, building amenities, co-work, office space, and fitness space. With me today is Brandon Klein from Geis. He's the head architect on the project, and Mike Sikora. He's the lead counsel on the project.
Thank you. Is there anybody wishing to speak for this proposal? Anybody wishing to speak against this proposal? This public hearing is closed. Kathy, anything from the administration?
I guess I don't have any concerns. This presentation was, for the most part, was what you saw at the informal. There's been some minor tweaks based on comments at that meeting, that the administration's certainly comfortable with all of those changes. But I'll certainly entertain any questions. I have one point to make regarding item number 9, just some language change, but I'll reserve that for the end.
Thank you. Anything from the commission members?
Mr. President? I do have a question about the parking. I love the project. It's going to be great. On the parking, though, there's going to be an underground facility with 45 parking lots.
Correct.
But you're required to have 65 for the residents. So how is that going to work with those 20 people or so who, you know?
Well, there'll be one parking spot underneath for each of the tenant units.
45
And
units, yeah.
Right, exactly. Then there's surface parking as well. And then there's parking in front of the building as well. We have a total of 144 parking spots.
Yeah, I see that all over the place. But I was just curious if you meant to make that, you know, for all the residents. And there's going to be gates, you said last time? So only residents, access only to the,
There'll be an access point to the garage, and there'll be limited access into the garage.
and there's only one ingress and egress right now.
That's correct.
And you're looking to get a egress, or not, an easement, a cross-traffic easement to the property to the east. I saw that noted on one of your plans.
We have an easement currently with the property owner
For
to
the
the
parking,
east.
what about the access to the next door?
You want to speak to the easement? Okay.
Yeah, the property to the east immediately, 8701 Manor Avenue, that used to be Manor Hardware, had a pre-existing easement in place when Uptown Manor, Allison's company, bought that property. That easement has since been modified. So there are access rights that exist, and there are parking rights that exist so that Uptown Manor is able to use up to 10 spaces in that lot. The owner of that adjacent building did insist on there being bollards placed there, blocking complete pass-through between those lots. So that was not Uptown Manor's preference, but in the interest of reaching an agreement to enter into a new easement that would contemplate the future intended use, she ended up agreeing to those bollards being placed there, which are removable. The fire department did approve those. She would prefer that they not be there, but at least it's contemplated that they would be
They're in
there.
a tough spot for a couple of the cars I noticed trying to either turn around or turn out of their parking spaces there, so, all right.
So users of Uptown Manor will be able to access that area. So if there's a tenant that's using the ground floor space, the tenant in the ground floor space could park in up to 10 spaces behind what used to be the Manor Hardware building and could use that easterly access drive. If those bollards end up being there in real life, if that's something that the neighbor continues to insist on, the easement provides for it, and passageway just won't be able to exist between those two lots.
There's no access to the west property. Cross-traffic easement.
Correct. There's just the access drive that's depicted to the far
And
west.
the fence is gonna come all the way up to where it's at now, basically, and stop. The white fence, the picket, the
I
white.
don't know where the fence is going to come up to, Brandon. Do you
Do
know?
you know the specifics?
It'll be
It's
on the rear property.
You got to get into the mic here. She's going to.
It'll be into the rear property line, and
Yeah.
basically separating the residential properties from our
I
property.
think that's about where it stops now. Okay.
Correct. And then while the bollards aren't necessarily ideal, the fact that you do have the vertical drive lanes in both properties, you can kind of, I'll call it S-curve out of those spaces and be able to meander out and away from those bollards, without, I'll call it that 5-foot ideal pull out that you would typically want. Again, it's not our preference, but it's kind of a means to an end.
It's getting things moving.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
Okay, very good. Perfect. All right, thank you so much.
Is there anything else from the commission? Kathy, do you have something?
I just I had to clarify, I had a conversation with Mr. Sikora earlier today with regard to item number 9. And for the record, I guess I would recommend changing the first part of the sentence. The way the Chapter 1158 reads, it requires a perpetual maintenance plan. We typically use this language of declaration of covenants, conditions, restrictions, and easements in a lot of our other projects, but this project is a little bit different. And so, just so that it is in sync with Chapter 1158, I would just recommend changing the first part of the sentence that says the declaration of covenants, conditions, restrictions, easements, and the open space maintenance requirements. Cross that out and just put a perpetual maintenance plan, which is the exact language which is in Chapter 1158. In conformance, and the rest of it's the same. So, minor change, but it just cleans it up for the record as to what specifically is required.
Thank you. Is there anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with,
Can I make
Yeah, sure.
one clarification?
sure.
I just want to, because I'm assuming it's going to be with the conditions of approval that are on the bottom of these 9 items. There's a few items I just want to kind of bring to the board's attention.
Okay.
One of which, the note about pole height, it was noted in our photometric plan that was submitted. It's a 20-foot pole height, so that was submitted. The one item we would like to discuss, due to the limits and constraints of the site, the transformer screening. The transformer itself is basically screened by the building, the 8-foot high fence. The size and location of where that is and clearances that First Energy is going to require for access doesn't allow for basically the conformance of that transformer screening. So we'd ask that we would have leniency on that aspect. I just wanted to kind of bring that to the attention and understand, just because covering it with shrubs and other things are just going to prevent that from being able to. It's going to overgrow it. It's only got, I think, about maybe 2 feet perimeter around that area to the parking and drive lanes, et cetera. So those are just some items we just wanted to bring up. And then the last thing, I just want to clarify, the building height as submitted is 49 feet 10 inches, because I know that I think it's noted as 48 in the staff report.
Okay, thank you. Did you have something you want to say?
yes. We would like the transformer to be screened. You can create a screening that is demountable, so it can be worked on. It doesn't have to be screened by landscaping. It could be screened by fencing or something like that. And you could make it so that it would be demountable so that they could have direct access to it.
I think our only concern about that would be that, snow plow, snow push, it's going to basically just push that into the transformer because of the limitations and where things are. It's a pretty heavy accessed area. Again, I don't really know what we're necessarily screening it from. There's heavy foliage on all sides of this. There's going to be an 8-foot high privacy fence along the rear of the property. The building itself obstructs it, so if it's trying to screen this from the right-of-way, from the public street, from the area, you're never going to see this transformer in the location that it's currently at.
Well, besides being a requirement, it would be screening it from the people who live there too. It's not an attractive thing to look at. It's something that we would want to be screened for people off-site, from people visiting, and from people who might live there. So I would suggest some kind of a fencing system that would be demountable so that you could still maintain the unit. And as far as snow plowing, that's don't hit it.
Can you move the transformer?
No. We'll screen it.
Okay. Is there anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with the 9 rezoning items, conditions, and what's the one condition? And the one condition
Number 9 to be,
we haven't talked about that yet, have No, so it's the 9 conditions.
Yeah.
As modified.
As modified.
As modified.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Hadden?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. We have a conditional use permit to allow for landscaping buffer reduction at 8693, 8683, 8671, 8677, and 8679 Menor Avenue. Tell us a little bit about the buffer reduction.
So by code, we would be required to provide landscape buffer at the rear of the property in that triangular area on the plan. We're already providing an 8-foot-high privacy fence. We'd also like to, with the, I'll call it limited urban feel that this, or limited space with the urban feel of this project and property and the density that we're trying to create with activity. We're trying to use that rear area as a dog area, a pet relief area, which we feel would be much more better served for the community and its residents, opposed to the landscaping. So it would be a grassed pet relief area to be maintained and operated by the property, by the management, with a waste receptacle and a bench area. We just feel that it would be a much better use of activity than putting a perimeter fence that's and buffer.
Thank you. Is there anybody wishing to speak for this proposal? Anybody wishing to speak against this proposal? This public hearing is closed. Kathy?
Just so everyone is clear where the residential line is, it is only where Larry's bringing his cursor. It is only up against 7289. That's the only residential line that's on that rear property line. So really, that's the only place that that buffer is truly required. The rest of those parcels adjacent are actually B2. So the buffer reduction, it's actually quite a bit of landscaping for such a small area anyway. It's pretty minuscule in terms of the area that it's covering. I think in the last one that you saw in 21, they had provided a buffer kind of all the way around the back line, but it wasn't required. So I just wanted to make that point so everyone understands, because it does look like those, I mean, those are residential properties, but the two of them are actually zoned B2, so.
Thank you. Anything from the commission?
Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Fargo?
We're still talking about a fence going there, though.
Fence is not changing, yeah.
Fence is there, okay.
Anything else?
And there is a buffer there. I mean, kind of. It's just not, they're not calling out a buffer with
The
park,
pet, the
with the-
relief, pet relief
Yeah,
area?
yeah.
It'll be grassed.
It's going to be
so,
grass, so
yeah.
there's a buffer.
It's just not gonna
It's
be
just-
6-foot-high grass, that's all. Hopefully not.
Depends on the dogs, so you never know.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
Right?
With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve with the one condition.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Hadden?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes, I got one question. When does the bulldozer show up?
Well, it's kind of up to you and city council. So if everybody wants to get on board with this, hopefully summerish. There's some things that need to be squared away with the city council, obviously, with you guys, and also with the school board. And so I'm hoping very soon.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, could I just point out for, just so you are aware, council recently changed their schedule. Their next meeting is April 15th,
Okay,
okay? So that will be the next meeting,
okay. Thank you.
just so you know.
Are we able to submit tomorrow?
You can.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Oh, well, we have what we need for council.
No, I'm saying for next planning, for final site plan.
No, I'd hold off on that
Yeah,
until
I
council
would
reviews.
wait. We'll look at the timeline again. We can talk about,
You got to get in the mic. Look, see, she's yelling at you now.
we'll look at the timeline again. We can talk about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, whatever we could do to speed things up, that would be better for the project. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Under old business, we have a minor subdivision of a property at 7040 Reynolds Road. I'll entertain a motion to remove that from the table.
So moved?
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. Okay, we have minor subdivision. I think you're getting a little closer, so tell us a little bit about what you want to do.
So, Anthony Schleiman, 2339 Rivers Edge Drive, Willoughby Hills, Ohio. So we started out with that crazy plan that met all of the requirements, I believe. With that screwy lot number 1 or 2, whichever one it was. At any rate, got together with Dave and we, after hearing you guys, and we created this, which after looking at it and reading the comments, it appears now I've created 2 non-conforming lots instead of 1. But I felt like it was doing a little more what you guys were hoping for. It's a little more of a conventional lot up front, and then all the back property goes to the fellow that wants to build his house, so.
Thank you. Kathy, could you talk a little bit about the difference between C1 zoning and acreage, and just give us the lay of the land on all that, please?
So then, unfortunately, the zoning is not what you see typically in the city, but nonetheless, it has existed for quite some time. It's the C1 Conservation District. Minimum lot area is 5 acres, minimum lot width is 200 feet. And so what we discussed with the law department is there is an exception to lot size and width requirements in Chapter 1165 that gives the Planning Commission the ability to approve the creation of lots with areas and/or widths less than required, where due to particular conditions particular to the property, strict compliance would result in an unnecessary hardship. So you almost are putting on, if I say, a BZA hat in Board of Zoning Appeals, and you're considering almost, you're granting somewhat of a variance on this, which is unusual for this board. This is not what you normally do. But what you have to do is consider, does a hardship exist? And I think the rule of thumb we generally try to apply when we consider variances, when the Board of Zoning Appeals considers variances, is there a true hardship, number one, but also is the variance being requested as minuscule as possible? And so, and I know I'm using these terms, and you're not the Board of Zoning Appeals, but to me, in my mind, it is closely resembles the process for which they consider. So I think with the C1, and the C1's been in place for a long time. The golf course has been there since, we figured probably prior to 1950. It doesn't make sense to change the zoning in the area because everything surrounding it's C1. So here you are then with a 21-acre lot. It's just so odd-shaped. So what can you do with it to make it the best possible scenario? Do you leave it as is, or, is there a split that works and pleases everybody? And I guess that's the question. What we thought too is did the lot width have to be 100 feet for the 18-acre lot? Could you have added more, width to that lot and then taken that back line of sublot 1 back further and then created a more conforming lot? Those are just things that we asked ourselves as we were reviewing this. So, just things that you might want to take into consideration. But, 2.8 is not 5 acres, and 100 feet is not 200 feet. So, can you get it closer, I guess, is the question. And is there truly a hardship that exists to grant the subdivision?
Thank you. Anything from the commission members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Crocker?
I would have to agree with the administration and the chairman earlier that you're closer, but I don't think you're quite there yet. I think you can work with the administration and get 2 lots that are much closer to what we're looking for, closer to the 5 acres. Is that something that would be willing to try to do?
I mean, sure.
Okay.
Just like I said, I tried to get that smaller lot closer to the acreage requirement by way of taking some of the frontage off of the other one. I felt like that might, that might be more palatable, so to speak, for that second lot than anything else, but obviously I didn't read the room.
Definitely working in the right direction, but I think if you work closely with the administration, maybe say, hey, this is what I'm attempting to do, and give them feedback before the meeting, they can get you on the right track when you come before us, if you're willing to give it another try.
Sure. So obviously, you guys aren't real happy with that. I do have a plan that Dave just did that has the large lot with 200 foot of frontage, but that just makes that, and then we tried to make that second lot, so to speak, as regular shape as we could based on everything. And so I have copies. Would you guys like to see that? I mean, maybe we can get a little closer instead of, so what you're gonna see on this is a 200 foot of frontage on the large lot, and then whatever that secondary lot ends up with acreage wise, it ends up with. It's basically probably just taking the 200 feet, or the extra 100 foot, excuse me, off of that frontage.
Just don't appropriate right now, hashing this out.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Carter.
I'm trying to look to see what the ultimate intent is. You want to build just a single house on this large piece of property?
Yes, sir.
And that would be located, tentatively, it would be located west of the creek?
Not exactly sure where he would plan to build it. I'm sure he'd have to come in and figure out where he could build it, but yes. would
I mean,
imagine.
yeah, just trying to get, and then the reason for subdividing it at all is to get some more return on the sales of the property, right?
Correct, at
It's
some
just a-
point in time. He actually didn't even want the larger piece, but I was like, well, I don't know what else to tell you. Either take this or you.
I mean, one of the, just the question is there a reason to subdivide it at all? Just sell him the whole piece of property?
Because he can't afford it all. He doesn't want it all. He wants,
I understand, I'm just saying,
gotcha.
like, that would eliminate a lot of problems if he would just buy the whole piece of property. It seems like we either get 200 feet of frontage, or and make that piece of property acceptable, or we take the original proposal and push that western line back till you get to the acceptable square footage for the front piece of property. But one of the pieces of property are never gonna be is gonna conform, I think. We could maybe come to that conclusion.
Right.
So the question I have is which property do we want to be in conformance?
I believe the original plan actually did meet all the requirements. It was just very odd shape, that sliver and whatnot.
Yeah, well, no, I understand that, but that was, I guess what I'm saying is if we, the thing we're gonna have to deal with in the future is to approve something for that piece of property in front. After, let's just assume we do something, he sells the property, somebody builds a house on it, then this piece of property in front's gonna come in front of us again. No? Well, when someone wants to
Not
build.
for a single-family home.
Is it all residential zoned, even that piece in front?
It's C1, so you could only ever put one house on it, no matter the size of
I'm
it,
just trying to
unless,
see- yeah.
unless they got rezoned by referendum right now. To go from conservation to residential requires a referendum. That's the only way you could, am I right?
Absolutely, but we also said that didn't make sense because C1 surrounds the lot.
Right.
So that typically is not something we generally, from a planning standpoint, we generally encourage because that would be spot zoning.
Yeah.
So The other thing we talked about too is the C1 has very strict setback requirements. So you have a 100-foot setback required on the front of the lot. And then a 50-foot rear setback. So if you were to develop that front lot on its own with a house, at its widest point, we kind of figured, well, I think that number up there is like 264. I think we said it was like somewhere like around 230, 240. You know, if you take off 100 feet on the front and 50 feet off the back, you're left somewhere in the range of 80 plus or minus feet to build a home. Is that enough depth? I mean, it is. It is, but you're also right up against the golf course, which has a green right there. And, you know, is that ideal? I mean, that would be buyer beware, right? But there's just not much, you know, there's some restrictions with where you would build on that property, but
Can I ask a question?
Sure, absolutely.
So my property abuts those 3 lots on Hodgson,
yeah,
and they're residential.
yeah.
And on the northern edge, it is next to another residential house. Are all those in C1 zoning?
The one to the north is, but the ones to the south are not. The golf course is, obviously your property is, and then those properties. I believe the Port Authority property is also C1. So, I mean,
C1 conservation land.
yeah.
Just for my knowledge, what else could be built in conservation land besides a residence?
Not much. It's the word, you know, conservation. It's really designed for golf
understand.
courses, parks. I can give you the list here, but I don't have it memorized because we don't see very many of these.
And the only reason I'm bringing it up is that that's the thing that'll come in front of us.
Oh,
You know, is that
well,
someone else try to do something else there, and then we go through this whole thing again, and I'm just trying to avoid it. If we knew it was just gonna be a single house in the future, we could feel one way about it, but if something else could be put there, and then they'd come with all these requirements, or wanna make all these changes, we're just creating a problem down the road.
Yeah, any use that's permitted in the R4 is permitted in the C1, and then agricultural is permitted. So in the R4, you know,
Half-acre, single-family lots.
well, not the acreage, just the uses
Oh, the
would be,
uses,
would be allowed. So, I mean, and then if you look at R4, it's any use permitted in the R1, so you do this pyramid effect of our lovely zoning code. So, greenhouses, but you could do an adult family home, churches, public schools, public facilities, private schools, cemetery.
So there's a lot of things that could still go in that
Yes.
piece of property, except that it probably wouldn't fit, and they'd come back and ask for all these exceptions. Is what, I'm trying to avoid that scenario in the future.
Right.
But what we do here, or what we can do in the future here, would eliminate the situation in the future where we'd be pressed into making a lot of compromises that maybe we could avoid now.
Sure.
That's my thought about it.
Well, we've owned the property since 1969, and it took that much to get to here, so I can't imagine there's going to be a wildfire of, hey, I'd like to do something on that piece of property.
Well, once they know they don't have to buy 21 acres, they might change their mind.
Right, yeah, that's right, and you know what Murphy's Law is, right?
Sir.
So,
So you need 92,000 square feet in that front parcel. So what if you just had it 100 foot, I'm asking just a question, Kathy, what if it was just 100 feet and we ran that 100 feet all the way back until that front lot had 5 acres? Now you got 2 lots with 5 acres, but one lot is essentially a flag lot. Because you're gonna have
That's what that is.
about 400 feet, give or take, of a 100-foot width on that north line going back. I'm just
Doesn't
thinking
narrow down
out
until
loud.
way back there. And I think that's going to really limit the ability of where he can put his house.
So how close do we got to get to the 5 acres? Is really the sweet spot.
Well, and again, maybe you want to have, you know, our
Yeah.
legal
Let's join in
department
here.
kind of weigh in on that, because I'm crossing boundaries here with BZA and Planning Commission, and that's not what your role is, so.
Now, Mr. Chairman, you have a lot of latitude under, was it 1158 1165.05. 1165.05. There's a lot of latitude for discretion in terms of, whatever that number winds up being, less than 5 acres. It's just going to be a matter of what's going to be the most palatable for the commission itself to agree to that. And, like Mr. Varga had outlined, there are a lot of considerations for future uses as well. And that's really the chief concern, I think, for what's in front of the commission is just what further uses are going to be of this property once a decision is made, yes or no, on any potential changes to this property. But in terms of the 5-acre requirement, this commission would have discretion. It could be 4 acres, 3 acres, 2 acres. It's what is the best use of the property at this point.
And the way it's submitted now probably essentially limits what can be built there to a single-family house. If we keep pushing this line back and give more acreages on the front lot, then it starts opening the door of what can be built on that front lot, other than a single-family house.
And you don't want, what you don't want to do is create a situation where then they have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals to ask for a bunch of variances. You're defeating the purpose. You're trying to get this lot to be, if it's not going to be 100% conforming, you want it to be as conforming as possible, so that it minimizes.
And we want housing. We want housing in Mentor.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Perkins.
So the second submission that was just handed to us, right now with that northernmost lot and the large lot, the 200-foot frontage, that one essentially would meet the criteria. And so in this proposal, we really only have one lot that would be non-conforming, rather than the original submission was both lots were non-conforming. I mean, with that northern lot with the 200-foot width, I think that's a little bit more attractive to someone that's trying to buy that parcel, maybe for whatever reason. But to have some sort of a drive and then have leftover for landscaping and everything, it makes a nicer presentation to that back parcel, rather than just creating enough width to get a drive. And I think a 2.3 acre parcel, which is the southernmost, is an actual pretty decent sized lot for a single family home. So I mean, in that respect, it's not bad. If we push that line back to 100 foot and tried to get as close to 5 acres on the southern parcel, I don't know what you're really gaining.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to get as close to that acreage requirement.
I mean, I like the 200 foot
Yeah.
because one is conforming, and really we have one non-conforming in this scenario.
I do too. I like this better. Good point. Thank you.
Chairman.
Mr. Haddon.
Is an alternative.
To the administration, how did the lot to the north get approved that's so small, if it's in C1? Is that non-conforming?
It's existing. It's been there for.
It's been there forever?
Yeah.
Since day one, that's kind of zoned, okay.
It was in the township.
It was
We
in
could show you a
township, we
few
took
other
over.
properties that are like that in the city.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Is there any other discussion? I'm on board with Mr. Perkovic. I like your submission that you did tonight. I don't know if there's any perfect,
There's certainly not.
but, Mr. Brown, you have any? She pointed to you. Like,
You're gonna bring up any concern?
Can we vote on this?
I would, Mr. Chairman, I would recommend not voting on the second one that was submitted, since it's substantially different at this point than the original that was submitted tonight. However, you can certainly table this and resubmit, and if the applicant has any questions for the administration in the meantime, we'd certainly be willing to work with them. There are some other potential alternatives as well that he could consider, especially if there's a potential buyer already for this property as well. It'd probably be best interest for everyone that he have that conversation with that potential buyer as well.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, I suggest we table this.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes?
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. All right, we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Under new business, we have a miscellaneous review to expand an existing outdoor storage lot at 7750 Division Drive. Is that applicant here? Please come up, give us your name and address. Tell us a little bit about what you'd like to do.
My name is Dan Gilmore, DANGILMORE. We are proposing to extend our already existing outdoor storage space to accommodate some of the newer products that we were able to acquire the NAAQS codes from the federal government. So we wanted to expand that space in order to be able to store longer sections of pipe and stuff like that that we sell on a daily basis to government contractors.
Thank you. Kathy, anything from administration?
Just note that per the requirements for outdoor storage, they meet the requirements for the fencing as well as the surface. And they certainly have plenty of area in the back, so we have no concerns.
Thank you. Anything from the commission members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Perkins.
I just will note that the applicant has stated here that the new fence is going to match the existing fencing, so I have no issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with the 4 conditions.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Kathy, anything?
Yeah, if you could just hang tight for just a second,
Okay.
but nothing else for the commission.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.